yourself with a reality. It's a dream, aren't you? A dream reality. We're all a part of the answer to the meaning of it all. Come in and join us for the moment we call now. Rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration.
Yes, rise up, join in, raise the whole vibration. Oh my God, my own theme song. It's only been a couple of weeks since I did that, and it gets me pumped now every time, even more so. To be in my favorite place, yes, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I'm still here. It's Thursday, February 13th. I've been doing this for a while. We've all agreed to call this February 13th so that we know where and when to meet. And here we are. I know I blah, 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 blah. I was thinking earlier that this is like welcome to your momentary lapse of reason. But you know, this is my favorite place. There are a lot of places out there right now, that podcasts that I watch that are having amazing conversations about consciousness, about energy, about source, about all of the different metaphysical things that are going on, about awareness, anything except the political state of the world right now is a good place to be, I think. So welcome to your momentary lapse of that stuff. And my favorite place. I see Tim out there. Hola MZ, what are you doing? Ninja Kitty, welcome to my two favorite people, always been out there. But as I was saying, I was thinking about what makes the live stream of consciousness different than these other podcasts, other people talking about consciousness, talking about having great guests like Dr. Donald Hoffman, some people who are doing some thinking in awesome ways. And I figured it out. I realized what it was that I do different than anybody. And I know I've said this to the people who've been here before. If you've been here before, welcome back. If it's your first time, welcome. And that is this: I offer 100% money back guarantee. No other podcast I have seen offers that 100% money back guarantee. So there you go. I offer something that nobody else offers. But also love. I offer love. I offer welcomeness. I offer support. And I see Arnie Layton out there as well. What's up, Arnie? I'm super excited because this show has allowed me to have some amazing conversations with people I probably never would have had a conversation with before. And it's opened my mind to, I'm like more aware of those kinds of people. So when I see that, I'm always like, oh, I want to talk to that person on my show. And that's a perfect example tonight. Sometimes you guys see me talking to friends of mine in my own spiritual circles. So I know them, and it's my chance to give them a little bit of the stage. But here's a chance for me to get to know someone live in front of you guys, with you guys, share the essence of that person, and all just share in this moment. So I'm super excited. This guy has an amazing story. I'm going to let him tell you all about it. I feel like he's not only, how I've told you guys that I see my reflection right out there in the world a lot when I'm out there and I'm dealing with people, and if I'm in a situation I need to kind of deal with someone I don't like, I see my reflection and it makes it easier. If I'm dealing with somebody that I think is amazing, I see my reflection and it makes me feel better about myself. Well, I feel like I saw my reflection in this guy, but almost like a reflection of a higher aspect of myself, in that this guy does so much stuff. He's got like a couple of businesses going. He's got an amazing website I can't wait to tell you about. You know how I love play on words. He's got an amazing website, and just his whole attitude is a great reflection of the live stream of consciousness in general. So I think he's going to find himself at home. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Seth Leaf Przansky. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Strangely enough, so few get it, but you got it.
Awesome. Welcome, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
I'm excited to talk to you tonight. You have such a great story that I want to kind of give you a platform to tell. But I got to initiate you to the live stream of consciousness. I don't know if you've seen the show before, but there's one question I love to ask my guests as I welcome them in the door, and that is, what are we talking about? What even is consciousness?
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. What is it? It's definitely some kind of initiation, right? Like we were all sperm and egg, and suddenly, bam, and then begin to form or these little like salamander looking embryos, and we're twisting and turning and growing and evolving. We're senses coming to senses, getting like hearing our mother talking, hearing sounds outside. We're in this little fish tank. And then we come out through our mom into this world. Talk about the ultimate initiation, right? Like this is for real. It's happening. No matter who we think we are or what our problems are, they're like that big compared to this consciousness that we all have.
Mhm.
Each and every one of us is an amalgamation of this beyond genius, invisible life force energy that causes all these complex systems of our body to work together, whether we're in our bed at night or walking around during the day.
Mhm.
And the more somebody ponders that, the more they feel it, it becomes so incredibly mind blowing and overwhelming in an ecstatic way. But for some reason, most of our species don't realize what they are. They don't realize that there's even a body below the head, you could say.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
how's that for an answer?
No, that's a great answer. An initiation. I don't think I've ever had that answer, but it is totally amazing what we are, and that's why I have these conversations. That's why I think about this all the time and try to kind of connect myself, because underneath it all, there is this knowing, right? There is this essence of all of us. We all are this essence of something. And I love the time that we're in, because especially with science and quantum physics kind of researching these things and kind of validating this idea of, maybe consciousness isn't something that is emerging from the brain, but the brain is emerging from consciousness, and consciousness is more of an underlying force. And that's
Yeah.
why I love these conversations, and even thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, that's amazing, I get it, and then I'm like, wait, what did I just say?
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, no, that's a beautiful answer, and awesome. So outside of that, and that's my next question, and that will usually lead me into how you've become who you are, and that is, do you have a memory of realizing that there was something outside of this physical body, this kind of this three-dimensional aspect of yourself, that there was more to it?
Absolutely. It's interesting because my earliest memories as a child, I grew up deep in the woods of Maine. I had like all the perfect ingredients to have like the perfect idyllic childhood. My family loved me. They we had freedom. My brother and I would play in the brook and find crystals and rocks, and we just like had this incredible life growing up. And for some reason, I would go outside and I would sit on the front yard on a nice day, and I'd stare at the tree line where the trees met the sky.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I just started doing that, staring at it. And the longer I would stare, the more the vision of the trees touching the sky would start to disappear.
Mm.
But it wasn't actually disappearing. What was happening is that I was becoming more aware and conscious of this consciousness, because that's what's going on. And same thing, when it was too hot, I mean, when it was cold outside, I was in my room
Wow.
doing that. Just, and the deeper I went into it, I'd start connecting with ancestors,
Mm.
star families from other places. And you know what? It wasn't spiritual. It wasn't like all these like spirituality, cultural like
Right.
belief systems. It was normal. It was natural.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it wasn't a big deal. But what's
Mhm.
interesting is that when I would try to talk to my mother and father about it, they were like, what?
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean? And
Yeah.
so I was never taught this version of
Hmm.
being human in today's
Hmm.
like society. I never knew how to articulate
Hmm.
those deep experiences
Hmm.
at that time.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
everybody that I shared it with had no idea
Sure.
what I was talking about.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's amazing, and I think it's a good point, and it's something that I do try to like avoid talking about on this show. What I was talking about, like the anti politics, right? Is like I feel like we have been kind of decultured. Like the modern culture has taken us away from that cultural aspect of being connected to Gaia and Mother Earth, and like understanding our connection on a much deeper level than we do. I always talk to my friends about it. I'm like, yeah, the Industrial Revolution. I think that's where we took the wrong turn. You know what I mean? And they don't get that. And certainly, listen, certainly, I can understand the comforts that the Industrial Revolution has brought me, but I feel like I've also connected with past lives and older souls, older aspects of ourselves and our being and what it meant to be a being, right? And I don't think there's anybody under 20 that understands where their food comes from. You know what I mean? And I mean, living in Maine, running around at the brook as a kid, I mean, you understand, growing food and like all of those things that I think have just been kind of uh, deleted or erased kind of from the mainstream culture, thanks to the industrial revolution to make things easier. Listen, again, I understand why, but I yearn for that. I often tell my girlfriend, I'm like, can we just go live on a farm and just like grow our own food? Actually, can it be on an island?
Oh my
uh,
God.
yeah, but yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get it. And that's awesome. I'm imagining that has a big part to do with who you are today, living and growing up in the woods, and kind of the nature side of yourself. I was saying in the introduction, you have a few companies. One of them is Tourmaline Springs. I think that's the name of it. Am I
Spring.
Tourmaline Spring? Okay. And that is a natural water company. I want you to tell us all about it. And then a natural nut or sprout company, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let me do this. I'm going to pop up some information at the bottom, so as you're talking and telling us all these stories, people can be like, "Ooh, I want to see more about that," and they can find out the
Well,
information
you know
there.
what? I want to ask you something.
Sure.
What would be the most groundbreaking way that you and I could engage with each other right now to bring a conversation to your show that's like next level? That's what I would love to do with you and for all the viewers. Like, let's give people what they want. They may not even consciously know what they want, but deep down they do. And I
Ooh.
would love to do that. And I can tell you know enough about reality to be able to have one of these high level conversations. So I would love that if you're into it.
Wow, I am totally into that idea. I mean, again, that's really why I bring these amazing people on my show, because I feel like I'm trying to bring into my own path some new ideas. One of the things about me is I think, I don't I'm not saying I can't, but I don't talk to spirit, I don't read tarot, but I resonate 1,000% with all of those modalities and what they do and what they mean. I understand that they're all individual, unique connections to source and expressions of that. I feel like I'm fairly grounded and elevated in awareness, but as far as like bringing a unique experience, I mean, I don't know if you do breath work exercises, you have an exercise, I mean, what's in your mind? What's your guide telling you that you are supposed to be bringing to my show right now?
You know what? It's taken years of my own personal evolution of growth of pain, a lot of pain, a lot of hard lessons that I went through that I never thought I would live from, but
Mhm.
that I did. And one thing after another just kept going and going. And at some point, I was like, you know what? I would rather learn through pleasure than pain.
Mm.
Done with this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So what would that be? Where would that come from?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes from, within, right? Because as little children, we see the world with eyes of love and awe and possibility, and then we get traumatized, or we get put into public school systems, and we get picked on over time. Whatever it is, something knocked us out of this natural state that pretty much all of us were in as
Mm-hmm.
children. And
Agree.
so that beautiful little inner child that sees the world with awe and wonder and mystery, that child gone. You got to get into the corporate workforce. You got to be who society wants you to be. And it's like, how can you be what the world wants us to be when we don't know what we are?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole trick, because people don't realize that within each and every one of us is like 98% dormant DNA. And that means in nature, as life evolves and it grows, if it's called use it, don't lose it, right? Like any features in an animal or something out in the wild, any features it doesn't use go away.
Mm-hmm.
So then the question is, why do we have that much junk DNA, unactivated junk DNA, in
Mm-hmm.
addition to a complete subconscious and unconscious state of awareness that is in every single one of us? And to
Mm-hmm.
map it out even further, all these networks and all these neural pathways and plexus centers, they're infused throughout our entire body.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brain in our heart. There's a brain in our gut. We
Mm-hmm.
have these plexus centers everywhere, and hardly anybody has activated it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it makes no sense for me, because we are that energy unconditionally, no matter what. But
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, we're born into this world and we forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And, we have these little moments of like, oh wow, I think I'm remembering. Then boom, you get sucked
Mm-hmm.
right back into the
Mm-hmm.
matrix or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you keep having these memories, these things come up, and you're like, you eventually get to the point, you're like, whoa, something way greater is happening. And it's not just happening out there, it's happening in here.
Mm-hmm.
This energy that we are, that's causing the body to work and function, it is beyond genius intelligence, and we are not separate from it.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that you and I are talking here right now is because this energy is allowing us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the second biggest mystery I've ever seen, the second biggest miracle in the world, is how so few people can realize that they are this miracle. It's mind blowing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But in memorizing that, remembering it, coming to this place where you're finally like, okay, what am I?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I may not know what I'm doing, but if there is whatever this intelligence is, whatever it comes from, whatever it's doing, I am a servant of that energy. I am willing to be so conscious and present with what is causing my heart to beat that it
Mm-hmm.
becomes the most important relationship in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And a resolve like that, I didn't just come up with that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I got, after all those beautiful years, I got bullied and beat up and addicted to hard drugs. And
Mm-hmm.
it took going through hell for
Mm-hmm.
me to remember what was always right in me and what I did as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in all of us,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
every single one of us. And
Yeah.
so I got to a point where, okay, there's some divine thing happening. Here I am. Sign
Yeah.
me up. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, this great undoing of everything that we perceive that has kept us disconnected from who and what we really are begins to start. You start to literally have your body charged with amplitudes of energy so that you're able to be more conscious
Mm-hmm.
of consciousness and how
Mm-hmm.
it relates and pertains to this person we think we are. Because again, our personality is not separate from this intelligence, but there's a missing link, there's a
Right.
gap. We're
Yeah.
only aware of like this little parameter,
Hmm.
but we are infinity,
Yeah.
each and every one of
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. And you know what? And I think it's easy for me personally to be compassionate because I understand that I'm given a name at birth. I'm told what my religion is. All of these things about me and this thing, have been given to me, and I've grown to believe it and try to support it, and without kind of talking too much about nefarious powers that be trying to control the human race and conspiracy theories and all of that stuff, which may actually be a part of myself, right? My shadow. If I believe that I'm everything, which I do, I don't believe it, I know it, then I know that that shadow is also a part of myself, right? And I just choose, because I know how it feels, to make the choice to focus on that love and that good energy, and like you said, to kind of be in service. And the way I'm in service is to just love everybody, right? And try to love everybody unconditionally. Try not to deny anybody of their experience, if they're male or female or black or white or gay or straight, or they're from another planet, whatever they say that they are. To just be like, okay, that's interesting, tell me more about it, not like you're nuts, you know what I mean? Like that loving and accepting thing is my way of navigating, because I feel like, kind of like you said, I'd much rather enjoy and experience life through pleasure than through pain,
Yeah.
right? So one of the things that's interesting, and I don't know how much you want to talk about. I'm talk about as much or as little as you're comfortable with. But one of the things that I found interesting in your story, and a lot of people's story, a lot of amazing people that I meet that have so much love to give, their stories go deep and dark. And things like having been in jail for many years, there's a few people that I know like that, and they tell me, I've met them on the other side of that, right? And I met this beautiful loving soul, and then getting deeper and closer friendly with them telling me, oh yeah, when I was 18 I used to smash someone in the face without thinking about it, and I'd be like, huh, I can't even imagine that person doing that, because they're full of so much love, and they're giving so much love. So my question to you, before I ask you to tell your story, and as much of it as you want, is, do you think that is something that's necessary? Because I feel like you have, like I said, like you're like this higher aspect of myself, where I feel like I'm pretty aware and pretty grounded and pretty open, but I feel like you've achieved the next level of that. Is it you think because of that darkness that you experienced?
You know what? Let me ask you, what makes you feel that way about me? Like, what is it in you that perceives me as a higher version back to you, or however you said it?
Um, whether or not it's successful and bringing you a financial abundance, you've taken the initiative to create a company that sells bottled water for all what I'm imagining is an authentic purpose of wanting to serve humanity and make things better because of this natural water, and how much better that is than anything that you could find in any store. You know what I mean?
Ah,
um I feel like, and the nuts, I feel like those are all very authentic paths to a very noble mission of living in service. and
aw,
and and I personally, I think I'm doing my best. I think I'm in the right place. I'm on a path. I think this show is an aspect of that, right? To bring these conversations to people. So I'm finding certain aspects of myself there, where I see you, and that's the reflection I see. Um, And again, whether it's just perceived that these things are actually bringing you monetary abundance, I know for me, that's one of the challenges that I'm navigating right now is the monetary, the economic situation that I'm in personally, and have been in all my life, based on, by my own accountability, the belief systems that I've formed, and that's what I'm navigating. And
Aw.
I just tried to choose my words so carefully right now, Seth. You don't even know, that was difficult to get out.
Look, I appreciate the vulnerability, and it's definitely it's interesting because here we are. It's almost like every single system that has been around for the past few generations, like society, civilization as we know it, it's breaking down,
Mhm,
showing its true colors. And with that comes, well, a lot of smaller countries would have full on financial collapse, and they have in our lifetime in many ways. Here in the US, you can see all of the signs of everything degrading, but ultimately, at the same time, no matter what the market is doing or the economy or any of that, when you look at the nature of business, right, and the products that all of us buy, you know, like these phones, these devices that we're using right now,
mhm,
our car, our house, all the things that we have are supporting this big industry.
mhm,
And we know that it can't last forever. And we also know that there's lots of free energy devices and things available that we're not using. And
mhm,
so why would we want to basically what I'm saying, there's a huge transformation where of course we love our creature comforts,
mhm,
but we could be living such a higher quality life with things made out of real
mhm,
ingredients, not
mhm,
plastic and
mhm,
all the things that
mhm,
we're subjected to, the
mhm,
strip mining that creates industry.
mhm.
We don't need that.
Right.
But we have been taught that the most important relationship is with our government, with society. We have to go through the systems and learn who we are so we can find our pecking order in the corporate playground. It's not even
Mhm,
a playground, it's corporate destruction, you know?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
So
Agreed.
there's a big reprioritization of values happening right now.
Mhm,
For me, I'll just speak for myself. I'm
mhm,
learning how the most important relationship I could ever have is to this, what's
mhm,
causing the heart to beat, because
mhm,
that's what I am.
mhm,
And I know that who I am, most of who I think I am, formed without direct interference from all of this innate intelligence.
mhm,
And by being disconnected, by suffering, by going through all the things that I did, I eventually and surviving, making it through and feeling great pain. It just caused this thing to happen where suddenly I was just smiling. And this is in prison, by the way.
mhm,
I
mhm,
went to prison for a non-violent marijuana charge and
mhm.
I got a 5-year sentence. And I went
Oh, wow.
and like literally, I had ruined my life, is what it felt like for that first year and a half.
Mhm, mhm,
And halfway into that, out of nowhere, I mean, I was the biggest victim there ever could be.
mhm,
I was
mhm,
blaming my friend who set me up, I was
mhm,
blaming the government, blaming everybody for everything.
mhm.
And I was stuck and I was suffering, and that level of stress was making my body sick.
Wow.
And then, in that whole like, okay, is there a divine? If divine is here, use me. I am here to be a servant of your needs, of your actions, of what you have to offer for this world in
Mhm,
terms of salvation. And without even realizing it, out of nowhere, I just started smiling.
mhm.
And, I was like, why am I smiling? I've freaking ruined my life. I've
But
like,
you were also feeling what it was that was making you, whatever was making you smile. You were like, "Ooh, I know I'm smiling because I feel it. I feel I'm
yeah,
happy. I don't know why I'm happy, but I'm happy.
You're absolutely, that's
Yeah.
it. It's like,
Yeah.
so for me, it would just happen naturally because really it is. It's a biophysical reaction, right?
Mhm.
But in society, in civilization, we have been socially indoctrinated and institutionally conditioned to
Mhm.
focus on everything external to us
Mhm.
rather than what's inside. And so everybody's addicted to stress, and
Mhm.
so few are actually high on life.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
my body kept smiling. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
And bit
Right.
by bit, I started to, it helped me trace it back from the source of where it was coming from. And the
Nice.
journey along the way was phenomenal because I'm in there, I'm with people that, and usually you see these people coming down the street, you walk on the other side of the street.
Right.
Well,
Not the
not
not the
me.
best. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But first they're telling me, oh, if you walk around smiling like that, you're gonna don't. They're like, do not do it. And so hearing all this stuff, and then
Wow.
me having that resolve of like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going
Yeah.
to smile. I'm going to feel what's causing this smile. And I did. And as the months went on, and I started to reconnect fully to what I was experiencing as a child before I had words to
Mhm. Mhm.
explain it,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
to
Mhm.
get to that point and then watch these guys who they don't know about meditation, really, yoga, and they're
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
those terms don't mean anything.
Right.
But when they would come near me, they said they felt better. And
Mhm.
first time it happened, I just blew it off like
I
whatever,
love that.
and then it kept happening.
Yeah.
And you know, instead of, I was like, okay, well, how do I explain this to them? Because it's not me. I'm not doing this. It's
Mhm.
something in them. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
automatically, I'm like, okay, I'm in a state of internal heart and brain coherence where
Mhm.
I love my life. I love being alive, even though I'm in a place where you don't want to love life.
Mhm.
Chose to be in that because my
Mhm.
actual being wasn't at its core addicted to stress. It
Mhm.
was high on life. It loved
Mhm. Mhm.
being alive. And so all of that started coming up. And I realized the more that I focus on it, the more it becomes amplified within
Right.
me.
Wow.
And so these guys would come around and I would tell them, look, this is you. It's happening inside of you. The part
Yeah.
of you that feels like it's me doing this is actually the part of you that's trying to get your attention. And
Wow.
so it just continued to evolve. And it was so incredible because towards the end of it, there was, 30 something of us like getting together and talking about this regularly, you know?
Wow.
But when I finally got released, and I came, this was a decade ago now, but when I came back to my family and friends and the world I left behind,
Mhm.
I had changed so much and they hardly even changed at all. They were
Wow.
still exactly the same. And
So
honestly,
you experience them all differently than you. Yeah. Yeah.
it was sobering because
Wow.
I realized that the real prison is the one that people don't even know they're in,
Wow.
right? Like with the cell, I'm on my cell phone, I'm in my
Yeah.
cell,
Yeah.
all the
Yeah. Yeah.
belief
Yeah.
systems of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, it can just be traced back to the
So
cause.
that's amazing. I love that story. That's amazing. But let me ask you a question. So you never really experienced any violence even when you first got there? Were people violent towards you? Did you experience violence or
Oh, yeah.
you did?
Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
violence. I had It was the first wait, yeah, 3 or 4 months that I was in there.
Mhm.
I had this guy, just, huge dude, all muscles, like, because, they let us work out when we're there. That's what
Mhm.
people do in prison.
Yeah.
And he kept talking to me affectionately and like trying to like check out if I'm gay or not or anything. And I'm
Right.
not. There's even any part of me that is.
Right.
I have gay friends, so it's nothing to do with that.
Right. It's just
But
not you.
he
Yeah.
would try to do this stuff, and it was really uncomfortable, and I just blew it off. I'm like, all right, yeah, not that kind of party that we're having here, you know? And then he came running into my cell one day, naked with an erection.
Oh,
And
geez.
all the other inmates were at a job because let's call it like it is slave labor. Those
Mm,
guys get in there and they keep them in there, and they work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and the little bit of money they make, the $100 a week or whatever they make, they spend it in the commissary
wow.
of the prison and on phone calls. So it is complete closed economy within
Wow.
that place.
Wow.
So what was the question again? I was on a roll and I forgot.
I was talking about experiencing violence. You were talking about the
Yes.
guy. He came running in with a big erection.
So he came in and I just flipped because yes, I'm loving, I love life, I care about others, I'm nurturing, but I am not gonna stand for that. And my instinct immediately I lit up and we're face to face in a screaming match. And I'm just like, he knew that when it came right down to it, yeah, he could kick my ass, but
Mhm,
I
mhm,
wasn't afraid to die. I
mhm,
will fight to the death if you
mhm,
try to do any of that to me. And he knew it.
mhm,
And
mhm,
all the inmates around who heard us yelling and seeing him standing there naked, because he didn't care. He's like the top bully, you know?
right, right.
But he didn't hit me. He
Mhm,
didn't do any, tried to scare me, didn't scare me. And then, it's prison. So there's not a lot to do when people talk.
right.
But that one
You
incident that
earned your
happened
respect.
when I
Yeah.
first got there, I never got bothered again because that
Definitely.
story, they're like, oh, he's cool. He'll fight to the death. Just leave him
Right.
alone. And it did,
And
And
I love that outside. So okay, so you experienced that violence. That sounds like a pretty scary story. A big inmate naked with an erection. But
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, despite that, again, I love the idea of just being who you are, affecting people, and then also having the wherewithal to be like, "Hey, man, it's not me." You know what I mean? It's you. And I even said that at the beginning of the show without even knowing the story about the reflection, that we all have within each other and that we bring out within each other. And I think that's amazing how in that environment you were able to convey that that idea to inmates, but just by being who you are, right? Just like I always talk about, just show up, right? All you got to do is show up as you are, as who you are, and that's your mission on this planet, is to show up as who you are. Now, you obviously didn't have a choice but to show up because that's where you were. um but amazing. I mean, that's really phenomenal that you not only were able to really turn that switch on yourself, but affect 30 other guys who who knows where they are now. But I mean, I'm sure you keep in touch with some of them, and and are proud of how you've affected their lives. It's amazing.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
but everything that's been happening since COVID and all that, it seems like it all created not only disclosure, but it created a lot more collective awareness of
Mhm,
how free are we actually?
mhm, mhm,
Because yeah,
mhm.
we
Absolutely.
can go to the store, we can drive out in the mountains and hike, we
Right,
can do all that stuff. But is how free are we mentally and
right,
emotionally?
right,
And a lot of people aren't they don't want to look at that. They
right.
just don't
Of
want to.
course. And I
It's easy to be distracted.
absolutely. And as much as I don't like talking about the political stuff and like the other stuff, let's just call it the other stuff, right? But, I acknowledge the other stuff, and I think that that's exactly what's happening, right? Is that people are just kind of being called out, and like, okay, well, it, it's all going to fall apart on you if you don't pay attention to what's inside of you and stop paying attention to what's outside, and these systems that have been put in place to really control you. You know what I mean? And how much control do we have? Well, I agree with you, again. When we go inside, we do have control. I'm in an interesting situation right now. Again, like I said, financially, I've been just kind of like getting through the system, but kind of letting go and I'm just believing that everything will take care of itself. It does. It comes to me. Opportunities come to me to make money, to be like, oh, okay, you didn't have money this week, but now you do, and it's all taken care of. And I guess for me, and again, since we're being so honest and vulnerable with each other, Seth, for me, I've always had this deep knowledge that the systems that were in place, as far as like the financial systems and the economic systems that we're in, were just not natural. And that we're going to collapse at some point and not mean anything. And I kind of counted on it happening when I was younger, and it just didn't. But still, the idea
Same with
that
me. That's why I laugh. Keep on it.
yeah. So I mean, still, the idea that at any moment an EMP could topple the whole global economic system, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, all right, man, somebody set that thing off already, so we can start at ground zero and rebuild whatever we need to rebuild.
Yes.
Because I do believe in humanity. You know what I mean? I do believe in the nature of source. I believe the nature of source is this unconditional love they all talk about. But I also accept the fact that because it's one, the idea of one, that includes all of the things that we don't like.
Yeah.
And we do need to accept that, and that's a big part of it too. But again, this is the home for talking about the good stuff. So you have these companies. Why don't you tell us about the companies that you run and what you do and how you got into it? So how did you decide to start Tourmaline Springs? Was that the first company that you ran?
No, Living Nuts. It's a
Living Nuts was first. Okay, so let's
yeah.
start there.
2001 we actually
Okay.
started. It blows my mind. It's been that long. But basically, my brother and I were eating a raw vegan diet at the time. We got excited about this like new movement with raw foods, and my brother's a phenomenal chef.
Mhm,
And yeah, there it is.
mhm.
And so we just did it. We started running it. We were called the Almond Brothers at first, and
The
till
Almond
we
Brothers. Nice.
we got a note, we got a thing from a lawyer in the mail saying you can't use that name. And
Oh,
we
how
had to rebrand
disappointing is
it.
that?
It wasn't because of the Almond Brothers van, it was because there's another company called Almond Brothers.
Oh,
We didn't see it when we searched for the trademark because
right, right.
so, but we're a year and a half in, and so we rebranded it, and we sprout all of the nuts and seeds, and all that really is you put them in water for 8 to 12 hours depending on the nut. It
Hmm.
disarms the enzyme inhibitors that are in it,
Hmm.
and some of them we just dehydrate them like that plain. Then
Hmm.
we've got a whole bunch with different um flavorings, like amazing flavorings. And
Hmm.
so people who can't eat nuts regularly, raw nuts, because they haven't been processed, they can this because when you sprout it, it becomes lighter. And when you
Mm.
dehydrate it at low heat, it gets really crunchy. So
Mm.
it's easy to eat a lot of them.
Wow.
So we did that, and that is very successful. And we have sprouted nut butters and all that. Then Tourmaline Spring came out of when I was in prison and I broke through all these levels of like, consciousness or bubbling or rising to the surface of my awareness. I knew I wanted to create something like that. And
Hmm.
so I got out and the circles just clicked and I formed this brand and I got it into all these stores, Whole Foods, all kinds of stores in New England for the most part. It
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
in other places. Shipping's really high price now, so it's hard
Sure.
to
Yeah.
sell water.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a self-made. You're not a corporation.
So the other thing, wait, you want to come say hi, Venus? I have a kitty. She's
Venus.
come here,
Nice.
Venus girl. Come on.
Oh, let's see,
Yeah,
Venus. I'm gonna bring you up big if she comes on the screen.
come on, love. Come here. Now,
No.
She's. I'll send you some pictures. She's so
That's
sweet.
awesome. No, I'm a big cat. I'm a big cat lover.
Oh,
I love,
really?
love animals, but cats especially. Yeah.
They call her a Russian blue British short hair.
Oh my God. I had a cat, Suki, who just passed recently, who
Oh,
was a Russian blue. Beautiful, beautiful cat.
oh,
Yeah. I love that
yeah.
breed. Yeah. First time I ever like had experience with that breed. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
And they're pure love, right? They love us unconditionally. She's
yeah.
taught me so much about
Oh, that's so
unconditional
awesome.
love. I didn't even plan on getting her, it just happened, you know? So,
That's awesome. That's
but
awesome.
so the companies are
Yep.
one thing, but what I'm really passionate about now is I wrote a book called
Oh,
The Fight to Enlighten.
yeah. Let's go there. I think you've got that on your website as well, right?
Yep. I wrote that
Uh,
in prison. Yep, there it is.
There you go. Awesome. I actually just sent you a link for a free copy of it. I'm totally interested in reading this story and reading what you've got. So tell us about the fight to enlighten.
So that's basically like everything that I went through to be resilient, you know? A lot of people get stuck in a lot of things, you
Hmm.
know this. We haven't really been taught a lot of things, much
Hmm.
less that within us is the ability to generate and amplify this life force we are, so
Hmm.
that we're able to embody, emit, and receive greater amplitudes of life force energy. And when
Hmm.
we know that, when we actually are able to know that and create the conditions of it within our being, and we start to get results, it
Hmm.
becomes passion number one. And so that's what happened to me.
Hmm.
And I wrote that book. I never planned on
Hmm.
publishing it. Like, my whole thing was like, I got into prison, I ruined my life, and I just had this thought like, I need to write out everything that I remember that I messed up so I can make sense of why I'm here. Yeah, I wrote a
I love
lot.
that you offer it for free too. I mean, you do offer the option to buy a hardcover version of it, but you're just like, hey man, this is valuable knowledge, and it's not mine. This is the knowledge of from source, right? I love that. I love that.
Well, and so I do these live free online heart coherence meditations every
Mhm.
Tuesday for the almost the past 2 years.
Awesome.
And they're finally like, people are just really getting into it, because all of this stuff isn't an idea.
Right.
It isn't a
It's for
concept.
real. Yeah.
It is for real, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at our world, right? It's pretty toxic right now,
Yep.
especially with all the invisible airwaves and satellites and Wi-Fi and all that.
Yep.
But we don't know what the long-term effects of that are. But we have something in us that when we focus on and amplify and
Mhm.
be able to be in contact with the inner workings of it, we literally create a field that can deflect all of this fake energy,
Mhm.
artificial energy everywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it seems to me like all the chaos, of course it's going to bring up this other part of it, right?
Mhm.
With complete chaos, people not being comfortable, they're gonna ask questions, they're gonna be ready to figure out how to evolve. And it's happening. I mean, people are waking up. And so
I agree. Yeah. I
that's
agree.
my passion. Like, that's why
I
I do
love it.
these meditations, because
I love it. No, and me too. Like I said, I feel like I was like, oh, this guy's going to be great. And Angelo brings up a good question. I like the question, and it's really, I feel like this question is not a rhetorical question, but it's not like, what's your relationship with God, but more like, what is your definition of God, right? That would be more of the question. But what is your relationship with the definition of God?
you know what? Every single thing that there is that's happening is in the container of the definition of that word. All of the intelligence in our body comes from a source of much greater intelligence.
Mhm.
And we're not separate from that. We're just living with an illusion that we causes us to believe we are.
Mhm.
But we are that. And when we choose to evolve to be like the Christ and all the religious figures and what they represented, which is love love God with all your heart and soul, and love thy neighbor. Isn't that
Mhm.
like the two precepts of Christianity? But look at how many people can't even do that.
Right.
And so, who am I
Agreed.
to try and define God?
Right.
Who am I to do that? Because
Right.
God is so, whatever God is, whatever this creative life is, it is so far beyond language and
Mhm.
understanding and
Mhm.
words. And it's
Mhm.
really quite arrogant for people to
Mhm.
think they have all of this figured out,
That's
because
right.
we were taught some language that was never ours.
Right.
We were taught to create beliefs that are what the world around us inspire us to do. And we
Mhm.
build a prison of
Mhm.
self-awareness where we get stuck inside of it,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
hard to get out. I had a song in my
Absolutely.
head earlier today from, I haven't heard it in a couple decades. I'm like, wow, like that was decades ago, and the
Right.
song's still in my head.
Nice.
So it brings up that, like, okay, well, if God, or if life, or whatever this is, if that's number one, which for me it is,
Mhm.
my most important relationship is with what is causing this.
Yeah.
That number one. And
Mm.
from there, from that place, we can form relationships with others
That's
who
right.
will prioritize that as
That's
well.
right.
You
That's right.
know?
And I think that those relationships that we form are a reflection of the relationship that we have with ourselves, right? If it's not a good relationship, our relationships are not going to be good. um and I just want to say hello to Shakti Rose, Psychic Healer. Hi Seth and Michael, I'm enjoying the show, thank you. We are enjoying your presence as well. And I appreciate it. And Shakti, you're reminding me, I usually put a call out to the audience to interact a little bit with the chat and to hit share and like and those kinds of things, to let the algorithm know that there's something going on that it should be aware of, and tell other people about. So thank you, Shakti, for reminding that. So I usually ask people to type in hashtag live if you're watching us live right now, or if you're watching the replay, type in hashtag replay, and this way I can go look back and see who's seen the show. And Seth, yeah, you're an amazing guest to talk to. Exactly what this show is all about. The whole sentiment of just trying to be the best person you can be, and just show love, to everybody else. We're all here together. That's what I say all the time. We're all in this together. If we all just would realize that we're all in this together, it would go so much better. And it's kind of funny. We were talking earlier, before the show, about the background, and I mentioned to you it's AI, right? And it's interesting. I didn't know how you would react to that, because a lot of times, people have an opinion about AI and what it means. And I've been kind of on this, I don't know, not a mission, but I'm just trying to like make it clear to people that it wouldn't be AI that they're afraid of. It's what somebody bad would do with AI is what they're really afraid of, right? It's not AI itself that they're afraid of. Um, and I think that helps some people. For me, as an artist, I like playing with the tools. I certainly have my own, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my goodness, I hate it when my vocabulary slips out of my head. I have a little bit of a worry about what could happen if it gets too, like, I don't want my brain to shut off. I love the fact that I am a creative soul and that I can create stuff. So I wouldn't want AI to do all of the creating for me. But as of this point, I've found it inspiring. I've actually generated some video with AI and some music with AI, and I'm doing like parodies of old theme songs like Sesame Street and Gilligan's Island, and then creating the videos that go with them. And it's just expression for me. And Angela was out there live, and Ninja Kitty's out there live. Thank you
Let me
guys.
ask you a question. That song that you opened up with, that's
Yes.
yours? You did that?
No, that I actually I wrote the words. I wrote the words for the song. And I did it with AI. I told AI I wanted kind of an uplifting, rocking song, and I wanted it to. I told it that it was going to be the theme song for my show. And I wrote the words, and I input them in and gave it a prompt,
Was it the tone of your voice or?
the tone is not my voice. It's funny that you asked though, because this show, I originally started the show with Jesse Blaze Snyder, who is Dee Snyder's son, and
Ah,
he's a musician and he
yeah.
sings, and it sounded a lot like him, and a lot of the AI that I was getting sounded a lot like him. And I actually showed him AI, and he loved it and started generating music that he got it to. So you can actually sing into the AI and just sing a melody and let it write the music, so it is your actual voice, and it's just a lot of fun. We've been having a lot of fun with it. And it's just a creative outlet. So I don't even remember where I was going with that part of the
I think
conversation.
you're reading comments from people.
Oh, okay. But yes, Angelo calls me the Wizard of Oz for some reason, even though one of my friends is the Wizard of Odd, who was
Ah,
here earlier. Brian. Oh, Brian is here right here. Wizard of Odd. He is here. Um, so Seth, I just want to know more. I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface about who you are and what your mission is. So I just want to remind people, if they're enjoying the conversation, Seth, you said you do an online guided meditation every week. Is it every week?
every Tuesday. Yep.
Every Tuesday. Okay. And that could be found at your website, sethleaf.com, which I believe also goes to IamAwakeNowWhat.com, which I actually didn't even get a chance to talk about. Let's go to that site. I love that play on words. I'm awake now what? And I love it because I feel like that's how I feel, right? I feel like, as somebody who's pretty aware of himself, pretty aware of the physical world around me, pretty aware of the non-physical world around me, um, I feel like, okay, now what? You know what I mean? I still have to wake up every day in this 3D form, right? In this 3D world that we're living in. And I still have to kind of navigate through that world, knowing that there's a part of me that's connected, that is non-physical, and that, once I'm done going to sleep and waking up all the time in this physical 3D, that there's something else. So how do you deal with that? How do you balance that? um, I guess that's part of what heart and brain coherence is, right? It's that balance. Why don't we tell us more about heart and brain coherence, which is what is at I'mAwakeNowWhat.com.
You said it really, balance. And balance, really, when it comes down to it, is a habit.
Mm-hmm,
It's a choice that can turn into a habit.
mm-hmm,
And that, like, basic hygiene, right? There's spiritual hygiene, physical hygiene, a mental hygiene. We have all these different components of our body, of our life. And when we treat them with integrity, when we take time to center ourselves, to get relaxed and balanced. Because, see, we're, as a species, we're breaking the collective addiction to stress, and we're reclaiming that original childlike state of coherence.
mm-hmm,
Your heart and
mm-hmm,
brain are in coherence, all your organs and glands are too, and your eyes are open wide, and it's so amazing and new adventure around every corner.
mm-hmm,
That's our natural state.
mm-hmm,
Yes, we grow up and we don't stay like that,
mm-hmm,
but adults who didn't get abused or traumatized or filled with drama, they can be a lot more complete,
mm-hmm.
have higher self-esteem, have higher self-confidence. And doesn't that sound like the kind of world that would really make a difference now?
Big time, yeah, big time, big time.
So there's so many different ways of approaching our life. And what do you think? So the amount of people that you have on this show,
Mhm.
are there any common themes? Sorry, not to totally deflect.
No,
It's like,
no, no. I love it. This is what it's about. The organic conversation.
yes,
And that's a great question. And I do believe that there is a common theme, right? And I think that that common theme, and I don't know really how to express it, but I guess the way I would try to express it is they all I think you actually just said it. What did you say? Integrity of the self, right?
yeah,
I believe that they all believe in what they are saying and who they are. They believe in, their metaphysical gift, right? I guess a great example would be somebody who might be a trans channel, right? To the average person might look at it and be like, "You're a nut job." um
yeah.
but somebody who's a little bit more open-minded can say, "Oh my god, what's going on?" Right? So for me, I know, and I've told this story on the show before. The first time I experienced somebody speaking light language, I had an emotional reaction to it, and that is what told me this isn't some sort of ruse. This is got some integrity to it. It's got some real energy to it that I'm is exchanging with my energy right now. You know what I mean? The idea of an energy exchange, as a conversation, but beyond that, as just the whole energy exchange of it all, understanding that. So yeah, I mean, what was the question? Now you got
I
me
know,
again.
right? We're going. Well, look, the reason I asked if there's themes and patterns,
Right.
I think the most reoccurring thing, especially in regard to balance, is to realize where we feel imbalanced.
Mhm,
And, like the foods I eat, my daily routine, the things I do, I've designed it so that it fits every part of myself that I feel
mhm,
needs the most.
mhm,
And routine, that's what it comes right down to. If
mhm,
you have a direction of where you would like to go, of who you would like to be, and you're committed to that process, no matter what it takes, you start watching that. Talk about a conspiracy theory. The biggest conspiracy theory of all is that this universe, that God, whatever you want to call it, is at all times conspiring to help you be the best version of yourself.
mhm,
That is what I resonate with. That's what
mhm,
inspires me, because
mhm.
I don't care who I talk to or where in the world. It's like they say the smile is universal. We
You just
cannot speak the same language, and it's like
yeah,
the smile, that is what
yeah.
matters. That, like, we got to connect as a species and show each other, because it is a miracle that's in us, that's happening. And the more of us that have the courage to reflect that to others, we role model that, then they start to do it. Then
Mhm,
they start to do it. They role model it. And obviously, this can go ad infinitum. We are divine. We are God's creation. And it's just to try to form a belief system on something that is so beyond belief. I always felt like, wow, that's actually kind of not mocking God, or like, to think that I know God, that I have it all figured out, and that in this book, isn't it kind of arrogant? Like, it feels like,
mhm.
talk
But
about like
but and
cut
yes,
yourself
I
off.
agree. I agree. But in a way, that's kind of also your mission is to present your piece of who you are to everybody else so that we could figure out God together and figure out that we are God together. I love it. I love it. Beautiful, man.
Relationship. That's,
Beautiful.
see, right? It comes
Yeah.
back to relationship. When
Yeah.
when you choose to really prioritize, and again, this is generally speaking, it's not like
Yeah.
you have to do all of it at once, but
Yeah.
a lot of people feel this. They feel the calling to be a agent of divine circumstance, of
Mhm.
to be the best version of themselves. And that takes cultivating a religion with God within this life force, the soul that's been evolving way before these bodies. When we connect like this, when we evolve internally and we embody what we are, new possibilities start coming into being. And for me, and again, this is, I'm saying this humbly, but
Yeah.
in my body, around my body, I've spent so much time being in these spaces that there's living geometric fields that overlay every system of my body. And I've learned to be conscious of them, listen to what they're communicating with me. And
Mhm.
the more I do that, the more incredible the potential becomes for the world to change. And so I'm finally getting to this point where I'm recognizing there's a lot of people who are like, all right, these are the next levels. Let's do it. And to facilitate that, like you have, in order to even do that, you have to be selfless
Mhm.
or selfishly selfish.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Because
I get it.
this energy, we keep coming back, I keep coming back to it.
Yeah.
This is the most important relationship in my life, because I know if
Yeah.
my life force of energy, if it wasn't here, neither would I be.
Yeah.
So it makes
Yeah.
very good common sense.
Exactly.
It,
Exactly, and to be and there you go, like also to be responsible for that, right? To be responsible for that energy. Oh my God, I'm here to be me. I better do the best job that I can being me to be a part of that whole. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that being said, Seth, I have something for you. You've just brought it out. We've come up with this together. So I don't know whether we talk afterwards. I'm definitely going to tell you to hang out in the green room when I sign off for a minute. But
yeah.
but you just inspired me, and no pun intended there. You just inspired me to with with the idea of a program that can be implemented through exactly what you do and the way you work with people with meditation, right? And you said basically that the universe conspires for you to be the best you that you can be, right? Because we were talking about conspiracy theory, and you're like, wait, this is what I think is conspiracy theory is this, right? The universe conspiring for me to be the best me. So you're saying conspiracy theory isn't a negative thing, to which I'm going to respond to you that you and I together, we are going to implement something called the inspiracy theory, which is going to inspire you to understand that the
Man.
universe is conspiring for you.
You just said that. You just invented it.
I just you just
Ah,
we just invented that
so
together.
inspiracy. Oh my God.
We just came up with that together, the inspiracy theory. You inspired it. You
That's
inspired it and I said it. So there you go. We're both
ah.
it's a part of both
See,
of
we're
us.
co-creating, right? And this is all it
Absolutely.
is. It's
Live
this
on the
simple.
air,
On
right?
the air. Ah,
How amazing is that?
ah, I love it. Inspiracy. Oh my God. Yeah. I think we should co-define it over the next couple weeks. Try to find an actual meaning or a general meaning.
You guys experienced that live. I'm so grateful to have been here myself for that moment.
Oh
Awesome.
man, inspiracy.
Seth, you're awesome to talk to. Again, very very inspiring human being. I wish more human beings would just be as self-aware and as loving as you seem. And without having to go through all of the dark stuff. But if you do go through the dark stuff and you come out shining like you do, Seth, I mean that's how great it. It's like, oh, I can't be resentful for my experiences because they made me who I am, right?
Yes,
That's awesome.
very
That's
much.
awesome. And I've got Ninja Kitty saying thank you, Seth. I really do appreciate you saying yes to being here. This conversation was as awesome as I thought it would be. You're definitely welcome back to tell more. Maybe if you write another book, or maybe we can come up with the meaning for conspiracy theory, and we could do another episode all about
Yeah,
conspiracy theory.
I would
Awesome.
love to.
Awesome. You are very inspiracy minded. LOL. Thank you. So do you have any words of wisdom for the departure? Let me put you in the green room, but before I do you have anything to say to my audience?
Words of wisdom, yeah, let it be. No, I'm just kidding.
I love
Too
that. Those are
cliche.
great words. Yeah, great words of wisdom.
I'll give something more helpful than that. So, the foundational process to get into a state of heart and brain coherence and sustain that is this simple. You relax your body, slow your breathing down, and you put that little tiny inner smile on your face and you feel it in your heart. That's it. That's all you do.
That works.
Relax body,
Can we do that
slower.
really quick all together? Can we all like
Yes,
do a
for
nice deep
sure.
breath? Yeah. Why don't you lead us through
So,
to a nice breath?
so you want me to do how many minutes?
We're already over time, so let's do 3 minutes. Let's
Okay,
do, yeah.
perfect. All right. So, wherever you are, just relax. Scan your body from the top of your head to the tip of your toes and relax. Slow your breathing down so that it's deeper and more gentle than usual. And put a little smile, an inner smile in your mouth with your lips. And whatever feeling that smile makes, feel it in your heart. And so it is that simple. Memorize that formula. Make habits of doing it. You can be walking around during the day or asleep, and you still can be creating this habit and doing it. You're at work, your boss screams, somebody dumps coffee on themselves, and the tense environment gets everybody else tense. But you choose to say, oh, that's a reminder for me to get relaxed, slow my breathing, put that little inner smile on my face, and feel it in my heart. And the more you choose these difficult lessons in life that we all experience, when you choose to look at them as a lesson, as life teaching you who you have the potential to be, when you bring that level of being ready to be that better or best version of yourself, you will get there because you are literally creating it with your intention, with your attention, and all of that interwoven and sustained, meaning try to keep it going. You go out and that's fine, but then you remember, oh, keep it going. And you do that every day, over and over, super simple. And then 3, 4 weeks go by, you wake up one morning and you feel, wow, I feel better. I feel this smile on my face.
Mhm.
And the more we do that, the more we connect to what is truly going on, the news, thing that caused our heart to beat, God, the divine, Allah, Brahma, Hindu, Shiva.
Thank you so much. Very well done. Very well done. I have to tell you, I haven't done my group meditations in a while, right? But I'm used to, after the group meditation, sharing the experience. And I want to share my experience with you from that brief meditation, right? Because you added something in there that was an intention and it worked 1,000,000%, which was the smile. I've been to many guided meditations, and nobody has ever even suggested to add that smile in there, which I'm surprised about, because man, it's probably because I know how this works, right? But when you said to smile and I smiled, like immediately I knew that my brain was going to conjure that feeling, because of what I associate smiling with. And you said it right afterwards. You're like, whatever you're associating the smile with. But I knew that just trying to, okay, I want to make a smile with my mouth, trying to make those muscle movements actually allowed me to conjure that feeling. So that's what I want to share, because I feel like that was really great. Well done.
Oh,
Well done with the smile. That's really, really good. Awesome.
life changing.
Yeah, Seth, you're awesome. Again, we're a little over time, but who cares? Nobody's paying the bills. We're paying the bills. We're making the rules. But thank you so much for being here. I definitely want you to come back. Let me put you in the green room for a minute. Don't go away. Don't sign off, because I want to talk to you afterwards. But thank
Yeah.
you for being here, man.
Thank
And
you for having me, Michael. Thank you, everybody else.
we'll have
Got
you
the
again.
most out of it.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Awesome. I love it. Finally, I've been talking about like adding that just 3 minutes of breathing exercise into the show, so that we can all kind of be on the same place, right? And just set that intention, which is so simple. One of the simplest intentions you could have is to breathe, right? Like, why does that even need to be an intention? It should just be all the time. And I think that's one of the reasons I find myself being a pretty calm guy, is because I just am all the time. I'm just like very intentionally breathing very slowly and calmly, and feeling the breath come into my lungs and leave my lungs. And I feel like that definitely helps me get through the day. You guys have been awesome. A little quiet today. You guys I wish you could chat more and more. I see you guys interacting with each other, saying hello to each other, which I love when you guys welcome each other and stuff like that. I just want to take a look at my calendar. Next week, I have Leah Claire coming on the show. I'm super excited. Leah is one of the speakers that's going to be at the Soul Care Conference that I joined the committee of, that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Like, I got this committee I'm on, doing this amazing conference with these amazing speakers. Leah is one of the speakers, and she'll be here next week to talk to us all about what she does. I hope you guys will join me on Tuesday on Holding Space. Ooh, I've got 2 shows now that I'm talking about all the time. This is pretty cool. On Holding Space, I've got Sarah and Lisbeth coming on to talk about what they're going to be doing at the Soul Conference, the Soul Care Conference. And coincidentally enough, there are no coincidences. So obviously enough, Sarah is the channeler that I was talking about earlier in this episode, who speaks light language. So Sarah speaks light language. She actually started to add some like singing and things into it. And then Lisbeth, who also speaks light language, they teamed up, and they're just like the power duo of light language singing. You feel like you're in heaven when you're in their presence. It's just so amazing and beautiful. So Tuesday, Holding Space, Sarah and Lisbeth. Thursday, Leah Claire. I've got a month full of wonderful, amazing guests. I'm just so blessed to be doing this. And you guys, thank you for showing up and being here. You give me a reason to keep coming back. I was kind of forcing it on you for the first bunch of episodes, but then I figured, okay, now somebody needs me. So thank you for giving me purpose. The Livestream of Consciousness, signing off for February 13th. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
This is the theme song for the live stream of consciousness. You gotta ask yourself whether reality is a dream or you a dream reality. We're all a part of the answer to